Hello and welcome to another episode of Dealer Talk. So I don't know how this even came to be this episode. The powers that be in the automotive industry universe have definitely shined upon us. But the guest that we have today is pretty amazing. But before we get into that, let me check in with my co-host Eric.
Hey, great morning. We have a chance of talking or really being fed by excellence today. So, let's just jump right into it. It's a rare opportunity to be able to have somebody of this significance on board. So I'm just going to shut up. Let's go.
All right. So without further ado, today we have none other than the number one salesperson in the country for 2017, Mr. Ali Reda. Ali, how are you, sir?
Good. Good morning. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Amazing, man. Super excited to have you on, for sure.
You guys had me thinking you had Tom Brady on here or something. What's going on? Where is he?
So, dude, this is pretty cool. So I've obviously Ali and I have known each other for a minute. We were just kind of doing the math here of how long it's been since the last time we've kind of connected, which, is probably about 10 or so years. But man, I've I remember, collaborating with him back then and, just always a true professional, such a great person. And, a couple months back, I reading this article on Automotive News, and there he is in the front page. And I was like, oh, my God, this is so cool. And I reached out to congratulate you. And, how's that been, man? How's that feel like?
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we do go way back. It's pretty cool, man. It's been really exciting. It's really good for the industry as a whole. Just really kind of shines some positive light on our industry, which doesn't always happen in the auto industry, as everybody kind of knows. And I feel like this has been really positive, man. The whole industry has rallied around it, and that's been like the most exciting, positive part of the whole thing. Just to kind of see it happening live, and it's been cool, man. It's been really cool. It's very exciting to be part of it.
Yeah, man, I bet it's got to be pretty cool. I'm sure a little overwhelming too, but I can't think of a better person that deserves that, dude. So congratulations, man.
I appreciate it, man. I like the fact that a lot of the people like yourself that who kind of witnessed it from the beginning, and it's not a overnight sensation type deal. People that seen it like yourself, me starting out in the business and kind of progressing and building my business and clientele over the years. And, because a lot of people are, just kind of hearing about it now in 2017, but, this started back in 2001.
Yeah, of course, for sure. No, it's a journey, definitely. That's the thing about success, right? For the people who are not a part of it, it looks easy because they just see the end result. But, right. It's a lot of hard work, man, for sure. So I got tons of questions. I'm sure Eric has tons of questions. But before we kind of get in there, just kind of for the listeners, if you can just give us a little bit of a recap of, like you said, your beginnings, what got you in the industry and kind of where you're at now.
Yeah, man, it was, I kind of fell into the industry. I was working at a warehouse. I was there for 10 years. Two brothers owned it, and I kind of worked my way up to be like third in line, and that was it. I kind of peaked, and I wanted more. I felt like there was more. I felt like I didn't want to be stuck there in a job. Wanted a career, and a friend of mine was selling cars, and he was talking to me about it. Kind of fell in love with the idea, and applied for a job in 2001, got it, and just took a chance. I didn't really know anything about car sales and that, but took a chance, and it's very blessed that I did. And then I had to start over again too, because in 2010 that dealership closed down as part of the GM wind down, and in 2010 thought it was the end of the career, and didn't know where I was going from there, and dealerships closing, kind of had to regroup and stay positive. And sometimes you think something's bad for you, it turns out to be good. Sometimes you think something's good for you, it turns out to be bad.
Well said.
Yeah, no, for sure. So going back to the beginning, right? Because there's for lack of a better term, there's always the stigma of selling cars, right? There's this, um, what's the like why do you think that is, and what would you say to those people that maybe are on the fence that are thinking, well, I would like to get a career going in this field, but I feel like there's all this negative I don't connotation or this negative attachment to that.
Yeah, and it is, and I didn't really know that too much until I started getting into the business, and then I think now things are starting to change. I think the business has evolved. Salespeople have evolved. It's not your 1970 plaid jacket type of salesman that you had jumping up and down on tables saying eating a live spider and I'll do anything for a sale. It's just things have changed. We've evolved. I mean, I'd almost like to change the word car salesman to maybe car advisor. Because I think that's part of the stigma. I think it's that negative, everybody thinking that we're there for the sale, where now it's a people business. Everybody has the same cars. Everybody has good cars in 2018. What's separating you from somebody else is if you're a people person, if your heart's in the right place, if your mind's in the right place. So, we're almost advising people now on their car problems, solving car problems, rather than trying to sell them on something. I think that's where it kind of came from.
Dude, I love that. I love that idea of changing that name or changing that title, if you will, because I do believe that there's a perception that comes with everything, right? It's how you word it, and that creates, kind of how you feel about it. So,
I mean, let's look at other industries. I mean, you have, realtors. I mean, they're not called a salesman. They're a realtor, a mortgage representative, an insurance agent. I mean, why are we still stuck in that sales category? I mean, we're selling cars that are more expensive than houses, and I mean, we're presenting a product, and I think that advisor role is what I've always had in mind since I started. And I was blessed to kind of work with a couple of veterans early on, and I got to see them and the way they did things, and they were more into relationship type selling, where they're building a relationship with the customer, and it's not a one night stand. It's now and in the future. And I, kind of adopted that and rolled with that whole relationship type business model, and that's been a huge success. It's been a big part of my success.
Ali, this is Eric. Hey, listen, I got a great question for you. I actually have 3 questions for you, but I want to start out number 1. So how old were you in 2001 when you came into the auto business?
Oh, man, I'm 45 right now, so I was in my late 20s.
Yeah. And you talked a lot about you were nervous about the perception coming in. You weren't sure it could happen. I mean, when did you, after you got in the auto industry, when did it click for you? You said, you know what, I can actually make a living doing this. When did that happen?
It was pretty quick, man. It was, like I said, I was blessed to kind of work, under a couple guys that I looked at as mentors, and I, kind of saw what they were doing, and they weren't into pressure selling. They weren't into trying to put people in a position that they thought wasn't right for them. And once I seen that, man, this guy, Jerry Turkey that I worked with, and he was awesome, man. People used to just come in and see him, and they'd laugh and joke, and then they spend 3 minutes on the deal, and the rest of it was just kind of having fun and catching up. And that's pretty much kind of what I'm going through now, and I think having somebody like that really made a big difference in my life, rather than a lot of these guys starting out and girls starting out 18, 19 years old in the business, and the manager tells them, hey, go get another one. Right. Not giving them the ability to grow and to understand the business as a whole. So the earlier you can understand that concept, the faster and better you're going to become successful.
I love that. So for clarity, in order to give a baseline of understanding and really have people understand how fantastic it is to have you on the program. How many vehicles did you sell in 2017?
17 was 1,582.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I mean, bang. How do you do that, right? Hello, car world. You think you're somebody. Here's the deal. So my last question for my little part right here is, what drives you? What drives Ali? What drives you?
And, it's not, and a lot of people say, hey, money's got to be great and all that, but it comes with it. It comes with the territory, but it's more, now it's being successful. Now it's helping people every day. That's the part that keeps me going. And when you get that customer that's just kind of down on their luck and they come in and you're kind of solving this automotive problem that they have and it's changing their lives, that part is very, heartfelt and, or somebody coming in buying their first car. We forget as we forget how exciting it is to buy a car, right? I mean, we forget. So people come in because we do it every day. Yeah. We're immune to the new car smell. We're immune to the new car excitement. So if you kind of keep track of that and make yourself aware of what's really happening, you can actually enjoy it, man. Every day is fun. Every day is exciting. I live for that part. I live for the part that bringing so much joy and happiness. And of course, like I said, the money just comes with it.
Right on. Yeah, for sure, man. So, not totally switching gears here, but I wanted to, so this is a question that's been on my mind, ever since we agreed that you were going to be on the show. And I was kind of trying to find a way to word it because it's something that I've thought about, for a long time, and it's just not the case in the industry. But in the interview that you did for Automotive News, you talked about, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you said something to the effect of one of the things that differentiates you is that you walk the customer through the whole process, right, from A to Z. So you're doing the demo or the test drive. You're talking about options. You do the financing. The delivery. I think the article mentioned you have maybe an assistant and some other person that helps you, but for the most part, that customer is with you through the entire thing. And then you also mentioned, you said, you had to earn that. It's not something that you're gonna, go take, start selling cars today and then go ask your manager tomorrow to do that, right? You have to earn the right to do that. So my question is, don't you think that that's a better experience for the consumer just in general? And if so, why is it that it's not like that, right? Because it seems like when in the car deal, we're pawning off customers all the time, right? The salesperson to the closer to finance to delivery. And that customer each time has to talk to somebody different and build a different relationship in a short amount of time versus, like your process that you explained where it's, they're with you that whole, through the whole journey, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's the difference between a transactional sale and a relationship type sale. Right. So a lot of dealerships are not going to give you the authority to do a lot of those things. You definitely have to earn that. Even when I started out here, they were reluctant to give me, full access. They're like, we don't give salespeople full access to all this stuff. And I kind of laid out a business plan and explained to them, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. This is going to benefit everybody. I had them put me on a 6-month trial period and say, listen, let's try it for 6 months. If for some reason neither party is happy and it's not working out, okay, we'll go back and address it. So putting a time frame on it will give them an out in case they need it. But you're gonna do fine. And the more access and the more that you can handle as a salesperson, the better you're going to become, the faster you're going to become, the more efficient. And like you said, pawning off a customer to 2, 3, 4 people, how could you build that relationship? You really can't. You don't have enough time to do that. I'm very transparent. I'm extremely transparent throughout the whole process. Everybody has so much access at their fingertips. So, if you're not transparent, man, you're going to get caught up. And, like I said, we're advising people on what they should do. not trying to sell them on something that you think is not right for them. Once you take that model and kind of, really have your heart in it, things are going to start changing for you as a salesperson, because you're going to sound different than the last 5 people they just talked to. You're going to sound like yourself. And that's how you start building relationships. People are not looking for a salesperson. They're looking for somebody to help them with their automotive needs. But my process is pretty fast and efficient, but not rushed. So I do talk to every single customer. From the beginning, I do handle finance, and my customers don't have to talk to anybody else in the dealership. They literally come to me. I do the deal from A to Z, finance and everything. And I have an assistant. Her name is Mirna. She's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. She handles all the paperwork. She handles make sure insurance and deal jackets. I can't even write anything anymore, because when you're busy, your handwriting gets sloppier and sloppier. So I'm not even allowed to write anything anymore. So she handles all that stuff. And then I do have another assistant. He's part-time. His name is Sam. He's my young legs. He grabs a car, parks a car, pulls up puts on a license plate, takes somebody to service. So the process is good. Every level that you hit, and it's not just because if you're doing over 100 a month, it's every level that you hit, your process needs to change to get to that next level. Because a 12 car guy and a 30 car guy are doing different processes. They're just different in order to allow yourself to do more cars. But that's what people got to keep in mind. To get to that next level, you have to have a process shift somewhere.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. Having never met you face to face, I'm completely blown away by how genuine you are coming through. I mean, it must be just an incredible experience to have that relationship with you. I'm sitting here stunned. I mean, congrats to you. I was expecting some type of big fanged, great white killer to come on the program. I had no idea. I love everything that you were saying. I absolutely love everything you say. What do you think? What do you think is for you? Well, I got 2 questions. Okay, I guess when was it that business picked up enough that you knew that you were on track for something special as far as moving units? When did that take place? At what point? I mean, was it 15 years ago? Was it 10 years ago? Was it 5 years ago? You look down and you go, my gosh, I have an opportunity here that I can absolutely shoot for the moon and hit some incredible numbers. When did that happen?
So like I said, I had to start over in 2010, right? So economy was crashing. I mean, things were going wrong. I said, do I stay in the car business? People were bailing out of the car business. They were going into other avenues. And I think whoever was able to ride that 2008-9 waves in the business did really well, because a lot of people kind of bailed. So, that was a huge objection that they had to overcome. And in 2010, I started at Les Stanford, and it started over. And, economy was coming back. Business started getting better. I started averaging, 25, 30 cars a month. And really something happened in 2010, and I met a guy named Damien Boudreau, who is a coach, mentor, motivational speaker. And he was talking about guys in the industry doing 60, 50. And up until that point, I really wasn't aware that certain things were possible. And then I said to myself, wait a minute, if somebody's doing that, there's got to be a way that I can get to those levels. And why am I not getting to those levels? So I started reanalyzing, my process and the things that I was doing and how involved I was with the community. He actually made me aware of what's possible. That's the moment that things in my life changed, when I started believing in what was possible, believing that there's more and there's another level. And, that year kind of went through. Then I started hitting 40 and then 50. And at 50, I never seen 100. I never seen, 90. At 50, I seen 60. And at 60, I seen, hey, there's more. I could get to 70. and so forth. And I went from 70 to the average of 90, and then 90, I never hit 100 a month. It was pretty crazy. It's funny because people say, "Well, how is that possible? How do you have time to do that? How could you do that?" Well, again, I started changing my process. I started changing things that weren't important to me anymore. And I wrote down my process. Actually, a lot of guys listening out there, write down your complete process and see where you have holes and where are the gaps and what's important and what's not important. It just started growing, year over year. I believed, and still to this day, I believe there's more, So the whole record thing didn't, the Joe Girard Guinness Book of Record didn't really come into play. I knew that record was there, but 2016, I did 1,300 cars. And I had such a strong start to 2017. In January, I hit 167 cars.
Wow.
Yeah, that was such a strong start. February, 130 cars. March, 130. And right around June, because the momentum was going pretty strong, I was averaging that, 130, 140 a month. And around June, I says, "Wow, man, I can get to that number." His record was 1,425. Wow. Right around then, I started believing. I says, "Wow, if momentum keeps going, I can attain this." And up until then, that's the only time I really thought about that record.
Wow. Do you think that it takes can a used car store do those kind of numbers, or do you have to be tied to a new car franchise? You think? What's the pros and cons in your thinking on that?
No, used car guys can do it. There's guys out there doing 70, 80 used cars. I don't think it's tied to just new cars or anything. Again, it's just believing what you can do. It's a process that works, for you in the store. And like any business, you got to grow, right? If you got to grow, I got to think, okay, at 50 cars, I said to myself, okay, well, I can stay at 50 cars and just keep doing what I'm doing. Or I can hire somebody and kind of, get some help and then grow my business. So at 50, I hired an assistant and said, I just need somebody to answer the phones and fill out these deal jackets, but that was taking so much time. When I did that, and obviously I had more time to help people. And then my business grew. And when I started getting to 70, 80, I said, I need somebody else. And then my business grew again. So, it's just process changes. You gotta think, how could my business grow? And that's what we're doing. We're running our own business inside of a business.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because that's I think that's always a gap in sales, right? It's that the salesperson always forgets, or they don't look at it like their business, like they're self-employed. They look like they're working for somebody else. And that can be very limiting.
Yeah, the managers, they work for the owner. We work for ourselves. We work for our clients. But we don't work for the owners. So I don't need, the owner coming down and pushing me that day, because if I don't sell anything that day, then you kind of have a lost day. So if you need somebody pushing you to do something on a daily basis, it might be the wrong industry.
Yep, right on, man, for sure. So I wanted to talk really quick about marketing, because there's obviously at those levels. The question comes in, for our potential listeners, the people that are taking ups, is it something that he's doing maybe that I could do with digital media or with or digital solutions, with social media, with third-party sites? Like, can you talk a little bit about your marketing strategy? And I know kind of where your focus is, because I read the article and you talked about that, but I just kind of want to give you an opportunity to share that.
Yeah, any marketing is good. So getting your name out there is really good. Social media obviously is kind of where it's at, but you got to be careful with social media, because if you're looking just to become popular on social media across the country, then that does absolutely nothing for your business. So for a guy in California to know who I am here in Michigan does nothing for my business other than it's a popularity contest. So that could be a completely different monster if you don't tackle it the right way. I'm from the old school of, hey, why am I looking across the country? Why am I not looking in my backyard? Why am I not active here where I live? Community is huge. If you're not involved in your community and you don't get out there and let people know what you do, and you're never going to hit those kind of numbers. If you look at any high achiever, they're very active in their community. They're well known around the auto industry, but it's more important to be known around your industry. I tell people, I don't think there's a single business in Dearborn in my community that I don't know the owner or manager. I could walk into any place and they know who I am and I know who they are. That's not easy. That doesn't happen by accident. You got to get out there. You got to attend, charity functions and, a lot of these events and local events, and you have to be present. You can't just throw up a billboard and think people are going to come see you, man. You got to throw up a billboard and you got to be present where you advertise. I think that's, a forgotten thing that people are, looking way outside of their realm rather than just looking in your backyard.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to ask is because in that article that I read, you said something that I was like, wow, man, this is pretty powerful. But you said, the most effective piece of advertisement that you did was an ad at a community center, right? On like their board. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because but I could put up that banner at that community center and just hope people will see it, or I can be present there and I can frequent there and I can play basketball with the members there and I can be seen there. That's a whole nother level of advertising. Now you're advertising and you're present where you advertise. People rather do business with a real person rather than just, the face on the billboard. You become real.
Yeah, Ali, I'm not even playing with you, brother. I'm absolutely blown away by the amount of knowledge you're feeding us with. I'm not even playing. It's a big deal. I love how, look, we could chop this up and be some real specific segments here. There's a lot to be gained from this. We're talking about the core to how it is you got to be where you are today. Is that number one, you believed. You started the initiation of a belief in yourself and where the business can go and where you could take it. And then you went ahead and you defined the process. There's things that you did all on your own. Coaching obviously was a great aspect for you, but you defined the process and then you invested in that process, which I think is just, there's so much to be learned there. And I think it's a complete value to the community that's listening to this, is that if they could somehow, swallow the magic pill that helps them believe, number one, and then define their own process, and then invest in that process. And that could be through learning and whatnot. You've shared so much stuff here. I don't want to keep talking, but my question to you is this. Great stuff, man.
It's a lot of stuff, but you're right.
What do you think, if you had to put a finger on your process and what it is that you do, okay, and through this, whether it be through an advisory role, how you move units, what is the key? What is the one thing key that makes you stand out? What is the one thing that makes you stand out from absolutely everybody else out there?
All right, so a lot of these infomercials and a lot of these books are like, okay, here's the key to success. This is the one thing that you have to just pay attention to, and that's how they sell these books and the secret, right? Of course I have the secret handshake. I can't tell everybody about that. Right? I know you guys didn't see me, but I'm a very handsome guy and people love the way I look. I don't have as much hair as I used to, but it's all right. People are still okay with it. That is right. You're right, man. You hit on the head. You know what I stopped. You know what it is. I will sum it up in 2 words. I stopped selling. That was it.
Wow.
I literally stopped selling.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's incredible.
As powerful and amazing as that sounds, and as scary as that sounds for salespeople, stop selling. I'm not selling anything. I'm there to help somebody, and I full-hearted mean that. I have compassion for people that come in. When you stop selling and you take the business transaction out of it, things will start changing. People will start believing in you. People want to say, how do you have enough time to sell? The most I ever sold was 31 cars in a day, right? So how do you do that? How do you average 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars every day, day in and day out? It's because I'm not selling anything. And it's really, people come in now because they trust me, and their first things that they ask me is, well, what do you think? Where do you get that? Right. Where do you get people coming in saying, what do you think? So I'm making, and this is a pretty high number. So, this is factual. So I'm making about 80 to 85% of the decisions in my office. That I'm making those. Wow. But I'm giving them the reason to believe that, right? I'm giving them the reason why they're coming back, and I'm putting them in positions that they're going to be good now and later, and so I have their best interest at heart, and people will tell you that, and that sometimes means not selling them a car. That sometimes means telling them, hey, this is the wrong situation for you. You shouldn't be doing this, or whatever it is. But that's it, man. Just stop selling. Wow.
I love that. I'm sorry. You gonna go, bud?
Yeah.
And the handshake thing. Don't forget that.
Yeah, right.
I just want to know when the book's coming out. That is the perfect title.
Yeah.
Wow. I got nothing, Herb. I'm sorry, bro. I just, I'm bubbling. I'm on fire. What can I say? This dude fires me up. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here and take it? Come on.
Yeah, so I like what you were saying there, because I had a conversation with somebody a while back, general manager of one of the dealerships I consult with, and he said something that was pretty powerful back then, and you kind of resonate that. And what he said is like, listen, it's not about selling a car. What you need to do is remove the obstacles from the people that are coming in, because they're here to buy. All you have to do is just get everything out of their way so that they can make the deal, and you're going to make the deal. Right. So, yeah, I love that. So,
that's what it is.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. Dude, I got so many questions, so much
stuff that
we could talk about.
This could go on for 5 hours.
Yeah. So I just have one last thing that I wanted to kind of put out there, and then we'll, wrap it up. I know you got,
I get the last question. Go ahead.
Listen, you are fine. I forgot to mention one thing. I only work 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday. I don't work Saturday and Sunday. So we're good. I'm off on the weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, wow. For the people, right, that are taking ups, that are going to be listening to this, right? And I know that there's no magic formula. Obviously, it depends, markets, brands, all those things come into play. But for somebody that's starting up, because sometimes the hardest thing is sticking with it. You know what I mean? Because it's tough in the beginning. You're up, you're there, you don't have relationships, everything's just, it's new potentially, maybe like yourself, they've never done this. What's the one piece of advice that if you can go back and tell yourself back in those days that you would do differently back then? What would you say to those folks?
Definitely believe in yourself, believe in what this industry can provide you. Start building our relationships early. Like I said, it's the industry teaches us to just go get another one. And, once we take that out of your mindset and your mindset changes that, this is a career, this is what I'm going to be doing forever. Finding the right home is key. And it's not about, I don't like this manager, or I don't like, the location of this place and the grass is greener on the other side. It's just finding a home, some product that you believe in. And then finding somewhere where you're going to be comfortable and call home. Can't bounce around dealership to dealership because you'll never build on those relationships. So early on, I pick the right place that maybe in your area, somewhere close to home, something that you believe in, and think of it as a long-term career, not just a job. A lot of people enter this business as just a job.
Right
Well,
on.
I know that Herb gets the last. He has a little thing that he does ask about where car industry's going. But my question for you is this: what's your next goal? What's next on the plate for you? What are we just? We're so involved in selling cars that it's just going to take over, and we get to 20,000 units a year. Or I mean, what is your next goal for you?
Yeah, I mean that a lot of people ask that question, and I think at this point right now, I mean I am still doing what I'm doing, and um, I think sales is the best job in the house, so I don't have any ambition to go into management. So I think working less, I'd like to probably go from 5 days a week to 4, and still be able to maintain the numbers that we're doing. I think that's possible. Just like I said, I'm going to have a process change and figure out a way to work 4 days a week. And eventually, I'll probably add a couple more people to my team, and I might end up just growing a team, dealership within the dealership per se, and that might be kind of the route I'm going now.
Wow.
All right, man. Well, so obviously we're winding down here. Would love to have you back at some point. Still have so many questions. So, it's been great having you on here. Before we kind of tell the audience where they can reach you and all that stuff, I always have one question that I ask everybody that comes on, and that question is, where do you see the automotive industry going and why?
It's I see a positive shift, man. This is such a positive shift because we've got so many people like myself that are doing the right thing. Business has definitely evolved. Salespeople are taking on this advisor role, and they have evolved. And it's funny because I had a customer, yesterday came in, and she was a referral, and she was with another salesperson, and she had told him she's going to another dealership, and the guy just blurts out my name. He says, "Are you going to see Reda?" And she starts laughing because she didn't even tell him she was. So what's happening, and there's so much depth behind that. And she told him, "Yeah, matter of fact, I am." And it changed his complete tone, and it changed the fact that he can't it's not about price. It's not about what, about $500 cheaper. He actually felt like he had to go above and beyond for this person because I'm doing that. So it's going to change. So people like myself and a lot of high achievers are actually changing it without realizing it by other salespeople maybe following this model and saying, hey, I don't take care of this customer now and forever. Somebody else has done it, and it's happening. And that was such a cool story that she told me, and that's what I gained from it. So business is going in the right direction. It's improving year over year, and as long as we kind of adapt this advisor role and advise people to their best interest, and it's not a one night stand, it's a relationship type deal. Social media has a big part of that. It's going in the right direction. I'm excited to be part of it, and I absolutely look forward to the future in this business.
Right on, man. Hey, thank you so much again, Ali. Again, invitation's open. I'd love to have you back on in the future. I want to give you a chance to, I know you have a book or you co-authored a book, so definitely make reference there so the listeners can get some more of your insights through that. And then if you don't mind, if you're comfortable with it, let them know how they can reach you, especially those folks that might be coming to you for advice and, just wanted to pick your brain.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, reach out on Facebook, and that's fine. It's under Ali M. Reda. And, I got 5,000 people on my Facebook, so I got to figure out a way I have like 200 requests. I don't even know what's the next step there. I got to figure that one out. Hey, that's a process change, right? And I'm always open. And hey, my cell phone number is 313-408-0006. If somebody needs help, and I get people from all across the country asking me for advice, and it's very humbling and it's so cool and inspiring to see people reach out with some of their problems. It's cool when they turn back around and call you and tell you that you changed their life in a positive way, man. That's absolutely wonderful, and I'm always open for that kind of stuff to help people out. I appreciate this opportunity with you guys, man. This is so much fun, and I would love to be on here again. You guys are helping, a lot of people out there, and that's kind of where we're at now. And that book that I wrote with Jamie Boudreaux is called How to Sell 100 Cars a Month. And, you can actually, if you want to download a free copy, you can go to howtosell100carsamonth.com, and we even offer it for free. So you can download a free copy of it there. You can buy a hard copy on Amazon. But, yeah, man, I'm always available and always up to it.
Thank you again. Ali Reda, folks. This is amazing. Thank you so much. It's been awesome to have you on. Lots of insight. And as usual, we'll talk later.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.